Good morning. So it's day 3 in Kenya, my second full day. Today is just an hour recovery run, I think, something like that. It's 6:20 in the morning. I've got to quickly get ready to meet the guys as we're setting off at 6:30. So I'm in a bit of a rush.
Morning. Morning.
I was feeling like if that was my race, I wouldn't be able to run.
So that's an hour recovery run done, and I love that. It was a really nice loop, and I absolutely grilled some of the locals on their training. And it was really interesting hearing what they do, how they train, their philosophies, and I'll talk about that later. Now I'm going to go get breakfast, and yeah, that was just a really good run and great company, nice scenery. It was just, yeah, I loved it.
So as mentioned in episode 2 of the series, I will be cutting back to the UK, where I'm editing at the moment, to discuss some of the points that I learnt in Kenya. On that easy run, I absolutely grilled some of the locals to find out all about the Kenyan running culture and how they train. One of the guys I was talking to was a guy called Emmanuel. You might have seen him. He was near the front, tall guy, wearing blue and a white cap. He is a 2:19 marathoner, but that was run at altitude, which makes a huge difference. He wants to run 2:15 at altitude in his next race, and if he can get to sea level, he wants to go for 2:10 or 2:9. So I grilled him on his training, the training of his group, and the other locals in Iten. Since Friday was an easy day, let's talk about easy running in Kenya. So they make their easy runs really easy, and this is something which I think a lot of Westerners fall into the trap of, doing their easy runs a bit too steady, and then fatiguing themselves, not recovering properly before their next session. Whereas in Kenya, they've got this saying, pole pole, and basically that means slowly, slowly. And when they start a run, they are literally basically jogging on the spot. They really ease into a run, going really slowly. But you hear on social media and stuff that, they do their runs so slow. And I didn't really find that true. Yes, they're doing a lot of easy running and slowing down, but as you saw from the local runner that ran past, and I saw loads of groups, on their easy days, they're still clipping along. One of the things is they're at altitude as well, so they're going really slow compared to their marathon pace, compared to their race paces, but their heart rate is a little bit higher because of that altitude, and that's something I noticed. I could be jogging really slowly, but I was getting more of an aerobic benefit because my heart rate was that slightly higher. I discussed this with a number of athletes because the Kenyans aren't really using heart rate. So I spoke to Hugo, the coach, and he lives in Kenya and has done for 10, 15 years. And he said that his heart rate, he's adapted, fully adapted, acclimatized, and yet his heart rate is still higher at altitude for a certain pace. So it's not something that goes away. So I believe that the Kenyans are getting an amazing aerobic benefit from doing these easy runs, even if they are really slow because of that altitude impact. Most of their easy running is done in groups, but you will see the odd Kenyan runner out on their own. I asked about this and I was told, well, either they're lacking in fitness, or they're coming back from injury, or they had to squeeze it in another time when the group wasn't training. There are a number of reasons for this, but in Iten they try to train in groups, and I love this group running culture. To summarize easy running, they are done really easy, but they can build in pace if they're feeling good. I was told that sometimes when it's taper time, they'll train on their own, just because when they train in a group, they can get carried away a little. The Kenyans are doubling most days, and they're not afraid to go slow. On the second run of the day, that's when they really take it easy and relax. So there is so much to talk about and so much I learned from my time in Kenya. But one of the things that I'm always interested in is, well, how do you train? So I talked with a number of different local athletes on what their training week looked like. So I'm going to run through a typical running week for a marathoner. It's very similar for the 10K and half marathon guys. But this is a typical marathon week in Kenya in Iten. So I'm going to start on a Sunday. Sunday is a rest day. They rest, they take it easy, they go to church, and they spend it with their family, and they refresh for the coming week. So then on Monday, they've got fresher legs, and they run it steady. So all the marathon guys I spoke to, they were looking to try and aim for 30K a day. So 180K a week, which is massive. What's that? That's like 111 miles a week. So 30K a day. And on that Monday morning, they do a steady 70, 75, 80 minutes, 20 kilometers they look for. And then they'll rest and recover and eat, have a nap, and then they'll go out again later in the day and do 40, 50 minutes easy and try and do about 10K. So that's 30K is what they aim for on most days. So that Monday morning run really is quite steady. It starts slow, but it soon hits a steady pace. And then the second half of that run, they try to aim for anaerobic threshold, which is like your 1 hour race pace. But for these guys, that's pretty much half marathon effort. So they're running a half marathon effort for the second half of that run, which is why they call this Monday run World Half, referring to the World Half Marathon Championships. And that's the sort of effort they'll be hitting in the second half of the Monday steady run. I should say it's half marathon effort and not pace. They're at altitude. Some of the surfaces they're running on aren't ideal. So it's that sort of effort they're hitting, but they won't be necessarily hitting that 1 hour half marathon pace. On a Tuesday, it traditionally is Track Tuesday, and they'll go to the track and do a session. As I showed you in episode 2, the local track in Iten, which was free to use, is now closed. I will discuss this in detail in another episode. It's really quite frustrating, and it really angered me that they haven't got just a local free track to use. So some of them will travel to Tambak, which is another dirt track, but they'll have to travel there and it's a bit more time and effort. And then many others will just then do a session on the roads or the trails to replace Track Tuesday. Track sessions are very similar to what I'm used to. They'll do things like 20, 25 by 400 meters, 600 meter reps, K reps, 2K reps, 3K reps, just normal track stuff. When I was at the track, I noticed that they really slow down and jog really slowly for their recoveries, which is similar to what many Westerners are doing. But they weren't really floating their recoveries as you see lots of runners doing on the tracks in the UK. On Wednesday, it's more volume, 20K in the morning, 10K in the evening, 30K aiming for the day. Again, this is easier, all about recovery, taking it nice and slow, but still they can get moving towards the end of the run. Thursday is the infamous fartlek. As I showed you in episode 2, they do 1 minute, 2 minute or 3 minute on with 1 minute really slow jog recovery. The 1 minute, 2 minute and 3 minutes are all done to feel on a really undulating stony surface, really tough route, and they all just beast themselves and work really hard the whole time. And then If they're running it properly, they really slow down and jog the recovery. If they've fallen behind the group, they sometimes do their recoveries a little bit fast to try and catch up. But that kind of defeats the object of the fartlek. Friday is easy run again. They will either do a single or a double depending what their long run looks like on the Saturday. So speaking to many of the marathoners, if they've got like 35k or maybe even 40k on the Saturday, they might only do a single depending how their legs feel. But if it's just 25 or 30k, then they're more likely to do a double on the Friday. But they'll keep both runs pretty easy. On the Saturday, that's when they do their long run, and the type of long run will depend when in a marathon block it comes. So earlier in the season, they do lots of hilly runs in the local forests, and they'll do 30k is typical for them, 30 to 35k. And just keep it steady. So it won't be an easy run. They will be working. They see this long run as a session. So they'll be working up the hills, down the hills, and they won't be plodding along. As it gets closer to marathon race day, they will drop in altitude. They will make an effort to go to the roads. There's a road called Moyben Road where lots of the runners like to go and run a little bit faster, a little bit closer to their race pace. It's at lower in altitude. It's a better surface. They're on the roads and it's flat. So that is a keen spot. They'll also sometimes make the effort to go to Eldoret and do some marathon effort type runs there. They'll never really be hitting marathon pace because they're still at altitude, but they'll be running a lot closer to that pace for a harder long run. This is where also, if they're lucky enough to have a sponsor for the group, which many of them don't, they might have cars with drinks and practice fueling. But many of the local runners in Iten that are trying to make it don't really have this and will just run unfueled. And that brings me back to Sunday, which is rest day. So they look for 30k a day, 180 kilometers a week, which is 111 miles. Right, I've spoken long enough. Let's go back to the action. I've got so much more to talk about in the future episodes, so I'll discuss some of the extra points then.
So this afternoon I've been doing some work, and it's such a calm, peaceful environment to work in. It's really nice. But now I'm off to meet an elite athlete, an upcoming elite athlete, to hear about his story and to hear all about his journey in Kenya and the races he's done around the world. So they say an upcoming elite athlete, but this guy's run 2:09 at Barcelona Marathon and he won that race. He's got quite a pedigree, and I've actually seen him race before. He won Swansea 10k in maybe 28 minutes or 27 minutes something. So he's an outstanding athlete. So that was awesome, really interesting. Actually 2 elite athletes turned up, and fascinating stories. I don't think I'd do them justice if I told you their stories, but it was really good to hear from them.
Next up on the agenda is a core session. So they do this core class down in the gym, and my core is awful. It needs work. Apparently Bridget Kosgei has been to the last few, and she's run a 2:14 marathon, so if it works for her, then it's definitely worth me trying. I'm not going to take a camera because I feel like people want to do their core without being filmed. It's a bit weird taking a camera to a core class. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck in and being schooled by everyone else there.
So that was one of the toughest core classes I've ever done. We started with 8 minutes of planks, and I thought that was just like the instructors joked, but no, he meant it. 8 minutes of planks, and then just non-stop stuff for 45 minutes. But it was really good, and Kosgei was there. She pulled up a mat right next to me, and she's a lot stronger with her core than I am. But it was really amazing, like just inspiring to see all these elite athletes around me doing their core, and me struggling but enjoying it all the same.
There we go, 40 minutes easy to finish the day. I left it late. The locals go out about 4 or 5. I went out at 6:30, and on the way back it was pitch black, so I had to be careful I didn't sprain an ankle or anything. But yeah, really enjoyed that. And now it's time to get ready and have some dinner.